I know you're ready for new cards, but with new cards, that also means we're going to need new decks. I'm Uncorrupt, and I want to share with you my Theorycraft for the Murder at Castle Nathria Quest Volatile Skeleton Mage. So, to start off with this deck, I was thinking to myself, what's going to be the most effective way to utilize the Volatile Skeleton package? And so I think in looking at it, it feels like it's a bit more of a defensive package with the things that it's going to do. Of course, we have the cold case here, actually allows us to gain armor, and then we also have the Deathborn AoE here, deal 2 damage to all minions, and summon volatile skeletons in addition to that. And then, of course, the location that we have as well, Nightcloak Sanctum, is going to freeze a minion and summon a volatile skeleton. So it's really more of a defensive package. Traditionally in Hearthstone, the direction that the design team has gone is that frost spells are defensive spells. So there's not necessarily a win condition, but it could be. And so in order to really try to maximize that, we need an additional win condition to be able to build towards while we're staying safe utilizing the Volatile Skeleton package. So the idea that I have is we're actually able to run Quest Mage once again. Quest Mage, been gone for a while. Some of the cards that were staples to the deck have rotated out of Standard, but now we have new cards that can take their place. And we're just going to take a quick look down at the list here. So First Flame, it's just a fire spell. It's nice and cheap. It helps us advance the quest. Frozen Touch is going to be a new card from the expansion. I'm sure you're familiar with this. You've probably already looked at the cards that are going to be coming. This is actually a shift in the design of frost spells, it feels like, because frost spells are defensive. We see it in Mage, we see it in Shaman. This is actually a damage spell, and it's not only limited to minions here. So we're going to be able to have a deal 3 damage that we can potentially use on our opponent's face for reach, which is going to go well if we're able to complete the quest and get the quest reward down. Also has the potential upside that we could infuse it. We don't necessarily want a tunnel vision on that. Just being able to play it when you need it is going to be good, and it can advance the quest. Of course, we are able to get a copy back into our hand. We could actually use it to complete multiple stages of the quest, which is going to be nice. 2 copies of Ignite, still core to the deck. It's a fire spell, it's burn, and it's going to go back into our deck. Potentially we could draw it again later to help us complete the quest. Also nice and cheap. Ruined Orb, again, it's just damage. It's going to allow us to create an additional card, and that could potentially help us to create what we need to advance the stage of the quest that we're on. And again, it's just burn. Siphon Mana, one of the newer additions to the deck. Again, this is possible burn, and then if we're able to work in an honor kill with this, then we can discount the spells in our hand. We know that's really powerful just because of how powerful Incanter's Flow was previously. Siphon Mana, not as strong as Incanter's Flow by any means, but being able to discount the spells that are in our hand is going to go a long way to helping us advance the win condition of the deck. Solid Alibi, this is just another frost spell for us. It's also probably the strongest defensive card that's going to be in Standard, and also just really, really annoying. We're going to be able to prevent so much damage with this card. You just throw it out whenever you can to be able to advance the quest, and then you're saving yourself a lot of damage, again playing into the idea that this is more of a defensive deck until we're able to set up some kind of a lethal after quest completion. So what I'm saying is that's going to function a lot like current Quest Hunter, where you play defensive, you try to control the board, and then once you complete the quest, you turn your damage face and close out the game from there. Volcanomancy here, this is going to be our AoE spell, in addition to the new Volatile Skeleton 6 mana spell that we see down here, the Deathborn. But Volcanomancy, for me, this card slot, we need fire spells, and traditionally it's been Fire Sail. So the difference is, of course, Volcanomancy is a lot cheaper, but it doesn't do its damage immediately. We have to be able to play it on a minion, and then we have to kill that minion to be able to do a 3 damage board sweep. Fire Sail, of course, costs twice as much at 4 mana, and it's also tradable. But I really think that this could potentially be better, just because it's going to be cheaper. We could combo like a Volcanomancy with a First Flame to be able to do some damage on the board, and then, still have an extra mana to be able to spend as we see fit. Arcane Intellect, it's arcane, it draws cards, that's why it's in the deck. We have the location. The location, of course, is part of the Volatile Skeleton package. Same with Cold Case. This is going to be a little bit of a defensive card. It's going to allow us to gain armor. It puts volatile skeletons on the board, and having these skeletons on the board, again, we're going to use those most likely for defense. In a lot of cases, we're going to trade those minions into our opponent's minions, and then hopefully the Death Rattle will also be able to eliminate other minions. Of course, the damage could go face, so that can be a really important way for us to be able to work on our opponent's health total. Commander Sivara in the deck. This is again a new addition that we haven't seen previously in versions of Quest Hunter. Commander Sivara for me is almost like card draw. And if you think about the cadence in which we're going to be playing cards in Quest Mage, typically it's going to go in order across the 3 spell schools. So for example, Fire, Frost, and Arcane. So reasonably, you could probably expect that Commander Sivara may have at least 2 or possibly all 3 spell schools packed into it. Then when we play it, we get those spells back, so we could potentially complete Quest 2, play Sivara, and then we'll be able to complete Part 3 of the quest by getting those spells back. Could also return Burn, you know, just any spell that we've played, it could give it back. So again, functions extremely similar to card draw, and we can also possibly return some really powerful cards back to our hand with an additional copy. We have the Multicaster here. Multicaster, again, just a natural fit for the deck. We're going to be playing 3 different spell schools. We should be able to draw cards, and we are probably going to be hurting maybe just a little bit for card draw with this deck. We've seen some of our card draw rotate out, and you'll notice as we're getting down to the 5 slot now that we actually are not running Refreshing Spring Water in this version of the deck for a couple of reasons. Number one, because we are running some minions, which are going to decrease the chance that we're able to get mana return from a Refreshing Spring Water. Also, in addition to the fact that the location is not a spell, location is actually its own card type. So again, if we hit a location with Refreshing Spring Water, that's not actually going to return mana to us. So because of the number of cards we've included in the deck that are not spells, Refreshing Spring Water probably not going to be as consistent at returning mana. And then, you know, just a little bit too expensive for what it's going to be doing for us, especially if it's just a 5 mana draw 2 and we hit 2 minions. That's probably a game that we're going to lose on the spot simply because of that. Going into the 5 slot, just 1 copy of Arcane Flow here. Needed a 30th card to be able to round out this deck. It's an Arcane spell. It's going to be good defensively to be able to remove a minion and most likely leave a body on the board on our side that our opponent either has to deal with or we can trade with on the following turn. Also in the 5 slot, we have Lady Najar, and again, this card is just a natural fit into Quest Mage. We're going to be playing Fire, Frost, and Arcane spells, and so we could utilize this for the effect that we need at the time. So of course, on the Fire version of Lady Najar, it's going to be a minor AoE, so we'll be able to potentially kill up to 3 minions. On the Frost version, we're going to be able to gain 8 armor if we need to make a defensive play. And then of course with the Arcane version, it actually discounts the cost of spells in our hand. And again, that's just really powerful in a deck that wants to play a number of spells every single turn. The 6th slot here, Deathborn. This is again just key to the Volatile Skeleton package. Post-quest, this card gets significantly better. The 2 spell damage that we're going to get by completing the quest and playing the quest reward is actually going to make this deal 4 damage to all minions and summon those extra volatile skeletons. One of the key reasons why I think potentially Quest Mage is going to be the place to utilize the Volatile Skeleton package. It just gets better and better with more spell power and allows us to put more volatile skeletons on the board to be able to get those death rattles and that random 2 damage. Magister Dawngrasp. For me, this is just an inclusion in every single mage deck. The card is so strong, it's actually a win condition in and of itself. Once we play Dawngrasp and you get the hero power out that you can start to buff, you can very quickly get it to 4 or 6 damage, and then for only 2 mana we can be dealing a lot of damage, potentially just fireballing our opponent in the face for only 2 mana every single turn once we get it buffed up to that point. Also, lots of synergy with this deck in that it's going to be repeating 1 spell from each school, and by the time we're actually able to play the Magister Dawngrasp at 7 mana, it's going to be guaranteed with this deck that we're going to be able to replay a Fire, a Frost, and an Arcane spell. Rounding out the deck, we have Kel'Thuzad. Again, this is just part of the Volatile Skeleton package. Also could potentially be a win condition, or may just function more like a board clear and actually doing some damage to our opponent. Ultimately, it's going to be a big body, and there should be a lot of damage going out, mixed between minions and our opponent's face, depending on the situation that we're able to play it. One key card that you may notice is actually missing from the deck is the neutral minion, Volatile Skeleton, the 2 mana 2/2 that's generated by cards such as Cold Case here. The reason why it's not included in the deck is because it's minions. We really want to focus on playing spells and Quest Mage, and then I almost always operate under the assumption that neutral cards are just bad cards. Class cards are more powerful in every way. That's the way Hearthstone is designed. And so I tend to shy away from neutral minions unless they're proven to just be really, really powerful cards. And in this case, I think Multicaster has proven itself. It's just solid card draw. We'll be able to draw 3 cards when we play this with this type of deck, and it's just a really, really good card to have in the deck. But Volatile Skeleton doesn't really have that upside, not going to be that good, at least in my opinion. I'm Uncorrupt, and this is my version of Quest Volatile Skeleton Mage for the upcoming Murder at Castle Nathria edition. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next Hearthstone expansion.